like, what are you doing on Heather has access to my calendar, like my Google Calendar. She's like, what are you doing the night of the 25th? I know you're not doing anything. So I'm like, okay. So anyway, I'm really glad to be here with you all tonight. I do live in Austin, so it's, good to be with hometown people. So I won't talk very long because it's cold out here for us Texans. And but I will say that, nobody was surprised as I was that I walked over to the Coalition for Life looking for help. If you would have asked me 6 months ago, you think you'll ever walk into the Coalition for Life? I would have said, are you kidding me? Absolutely not. But that just shows the power of what you're doing out here, that it really does make a difference. It really does convict people. I had probably a couple years before I left, I had developed a relationship with a gal on the sidewalk, and they had a crazy guy that came to the sidewalk named Don. And I had developed a relationship with this gal, and she had told me one day, I'd love to, take you to lunch one day and hang out, get to know you. And I remember I went into my office and I thought, I really like her. She seems really nice, and so, maybe I'll take her up on it, And I was just about to pick up the phone and call the Coalition for Life office and ask for her. And right then, my mom called me and told me that this crazy guy, Don, had sent postcards to my parents' house and their whole neighborhood, basically saying that I abused children. And I remember hanging up the phone with my mom, and I thought, you know what? I can never trust those people at the fence. They're all out to get me. They're all the same. And that was just 2 years before I left. And I wonder sometimes, what if Dawn hadn't sent that postcard? What if I would have called her that day? Maybe I would have left earlier. I don't know, right? And I'll never know. You can't focus on the what ifs in life. And I remember going out and telling, it wasn't Heather, but I remember telling one of the prayer volunteers what had happened. And that I was actually considering talking to one of them, but then they had this guy who just, he messed it up, and I just realized I couldn't trust any of them. And it was almost like, because I told her that, she sort of doubled down on being nice to me. And it was, I don't know if she did or not, but it seemed like she sort of alerted the whole staff, like, hey, Crazy Don did something, and Abby was sort of on the verge of calling us, and he messed it up, and whatever. But it was their respect for me, their kindness toward me, that they consistently showed every single day, that eventually I said, you know what? I don't even care about Don. I don't even care about what he's doing. I know that I can trust these people out on the sidewalk. We have story after story at And Then There Were None, our clinic worker ministry, of people who left because of people like you, because of people who are willing to reach out. And trust me, there are a lot of crazy people on the sidewalk across the country, but these people are still coming out. They're still reaching out to peaceful advocates on the sidewalk because you are consistently showing them love day after day, and that's winning them over. That's winning their hearts. And that's really the gospel, is that you're being Jesus. You're being Christ to the people who are inside of this building, who are feeling confused, and alone and scared and not knowing where to go and feeling like they're unlovable and feeling like they're unworthy. And you're standing out here saying, you're worthy of love, you're deserving of love, and guess what? You have a Savior who died just for you.
Amen.
And that's the beauty of what we're doing here. You're showing Christ to every single person who walks into that facility. We had a worker in Oregon who reached out to us. Actually, it was a man. He worked at a clinic, and he wanted to leave the clinic, but he didn't, and he kept staying. And one day there was this woman who consistently came to the clinic every day, or almost every day. And it was pouring down rain one day, and he was looking at her outside of his clinic window. And he said he was looking at her, and it was pouring down rain on her, and she was kneeling and praying in front of his abortion facility. And he said to us, I realized that whatever she had inside of her that convicted her to kneel on a hard sidewalk on concrete outside of a clinic when it's pouring down rain on a cold day in front of an abortion clinic, whatever was in her soul, I wanted that too. And so he walked away. We had a woman recently who, we have a new ministry, Pro Love Ministries, and one of the outreaches is Love Line, which is a crisis line. And this was so funny. There was a sidewalk advocate in Houston, and this sidewalk advocate was telling the women going in about Love Line, and hey, there's a place that can help you if you need rent or whatever you need, they can help you. And there was an abortion clinic escort there at this clinic. And this abortion clinic escort had a good friend who was pregnant and was really struggling at the time. And she was pregnant with her fourth child, and just didn't know how she was going to pay rent, didn't know how she was going to put food on the table, really, really struggling. And so this abortion escort went home, called her friend on her cell, and said, hey, I was out at the clinic today, and I heard about this organization that may be able to help you. It's called Love Line. So the woman called us, and she said, yeah, I heard about you guys from my friend. She volunteers at an abortion clinic. She's an abortion escort. And I thought, what a testament to the power of love out on the sidewalk, right? That no matter what, no matter if the woman walks in, no matter if she ignores us, no matter what, that whoever was out in front of that clinic was showing enough love to the people walking in, that abortion clinic escort trusted the resources that she was giving out to the women going in. I mean, what a powerful, powerful testimony. Over 60% of the abortion clinic workers who come through, and then there were none, hear about our ministry because of people like you. So we do all the mailings. We spend thousands of dollars a year on postage. We send all kinds of stuff into the clinic, and we're going to keep doing that because that works a little bit. But our best outreach is through word of mouth on the sidewalk. You guys are doing that. And that should make you feel so good. I mean, people, they ask me sometimes, they're like, Abby, what's it like to talk to somebody who's walking out of an abortion clinic for the last time? What's it like to be on the phone with them as they're walking out the door for the last time? And I tell them, it's like a miracle. Because it is. it's a miracle to witness that kind of transformation in someone's life. And we couldn't do the work that we do without all of you. We wouldn't have reached over 550 men and women who work in abortion clinics without you. We would have reached a fraction of them without people like you. And we have helped so many from Austin. I didn't look up the number, but I think we've helped something like 9 women leave the clinics here in Austin. So I don't know. Have y'all ever told that story about Jackie, you and Beth? So there was this woman who worked. Her name is Jackie, and she worked at. This was several years ago. She worked at the South Austin. It has a million names. Brookside, yeah, Austin Women's, whatever. She worked there, and Beth had told us that we needed to be praying for this woman named Jackie, because Beth had told us, like, you know, she just, I don't know, she's like listening to me when I'm talking to her, and she had given her some I think you'd given her like some, and then there were none information or something. Oh, no, that was Pam. Okay. There's so many. Okay, hold on. But Jackie and Pam are connected. Okay. So, but you had reached out to Jackie. You had given Jackie information. Jackie ended up contacting us, and she left the clinic. Okay. So a few months later, Beth tells us about this other woman at Brookside, and her name is Pam. And she says, there's this woman there, and she talks to me, she takes the information, she just doesn't really seem like she fits, at the clinic. And so, we really need to be praying for her, and, this is her name, and blah, blah, blah. So, okay. So then I'm talking to Jackie one day. I think we'd gone out to dinner, and Jackie says, there's this lady at the clinic. Her name is Pam, and she said the same thing. Like, she just doesn't really seem to fit there. She's just really nice, and she's a nurse, and I don't know, like, she just doesn't really seem to fit. And so maybe you guys could be praying for her too. So I was like, okay. So then months go by. And one day the phone our hotline rings, and I answer it, and it's this lady on the phone, and she's very soft-spoken and sort of timid on the phone, and she says, I don't know if I have the right number, but I was given some information, and she said, I work in Austin at an abortion clinic, and she said, my name is Pam. And I was like, Pam, we've been praying for you. She's sort of like, what? And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, Jackie came through our ministry, and I was like, and then, Beth had told us that, she had given you some information. She's like, is Beth the really loud one that I've been talking to? With a lot of kids. She goes, Beth, the really loud one with a lot of kids. I was like, yeah, that's it. And so, it's just, you just never know how your words are going to impact people. Sometimes we think, well, I gave them information a year ago. I gave them information 2 years ago. They were giving me information for 8 years. And I didn't take it. But it's not about our timing. It's about God's timing. And so we just have to trust in that. And God's either sovereign or he's not. And so we have to trust him that he's doing a good work in them and their hearts. And we just have to continue to pray and live out the gospel and be Christ to them. So we actually have where is she? Oh. So I wanted to introduce you. We were doing a filming thing today for PureFlix, and so I said, "Oh, I've got to do a talk. I've got to do a little thing today at a kickoff rally." And I said, Julie, do you want to come? And she's like, yeah, I want to come. So this is Julie Wilkinson, and Julie is one of our quitters from And Then There Were None. So Julie worked at Dr. Warren Hearn. Dr. Hearn is he's a late-term provider in Colorado, Boulder, Colorado. She worked for him in the 80s and had really just sort of kept that part of her life a secret. And she one day got information about it, and then there were none, and got plugged in with us. And do you want to say something? Yeah, you should. She's a movie star. Oh, you might recognize her because she was in Unplanned. Yeah, it's up.
Yeah, I kept it a big secret because in my heart, you have to like this. Okay. But in my heart, I never felt right about working there. I left, but I didn't know anybody who'd ever left a clinic. So for a long time, I kept it a secret, even though I became pro-life. I could just talk loud. Even though I...
No, it's on. It's on.
Okay. Even though I became pro-life, I still kept it a secret for a very long time, and really by an accident on the internet. I was on some kind of a chat or something. It was before Facebook. Someone told me there's a group for people like you. And it was really a great relief because maybe 5 people in the world knew that I'd worked there except the people I'd worked with, and I had no contact with them. But it was great to reach out, and I had 3 girls still at home at that time, but I was too embarrassed and afraid for them to find out. So I still kept it a secret from my kids until I felt like they were old enough to be able to understand. But in the meantime, I got to go to the first retreat that Abby had, and it was such a blessing to finally meet somebody else because it is a really dark place. I can guarantee you that no one who's working in there taking a check has the peace in their heart that those of us out here have. There's absolutely no question in my mind. It is a lonely place you're at. Even if you try to convince yourself you're doing good for somebody, you know you're not. So what you're doing out here, like Abby has said, it does matter because sometimes people have a cold heart and it takes a while to melt that away. And sometimes they're just like me and they keep there because they don't know why. That's their job, so they stay there, and they almost need a reason not to be there. And although I did leave it on my own, I was still alone for such a long time. And it's so great to be part of the pro-life movement and to reach out to people and to be able to say to them, I know what it was like in there. I mean, Abby and I know we were in there, and we know that that's dark and this is light. So God bless you all for what you do. Your long vigils you do are so incredible, and I'm so thankful for them. So thank you very much.
And we did hear actually just recently. I have a friend that works in the birthing center here, which for us we're like like a birthing center in the same place that they're committing abortions, like that's so gross and weird and such a juxtaposition, right? But we did hear actually from one of our friends that works in the birthing center that they have had several women who were scheduled for abortions that actually walked into the birthing center instead and chose to have their babies. So, God truly can work all things for good. And so he's using that birthing center in this crazy location with an abortion clinic to save some of his creation. So thank you all so much for what you're doing. It means so much to me as someone who was moved and convicted by people like you on the sidewalk, and as someone who runs a ministry where more than half of our workers have left because of people like you. It really does mean a lot to us, and so thank you, and thank you all for having me tonight.
Thank you so much, Abby.
And how dumb are these cactus?
Yes.
I've been like kicking them down.